fwcs.schoology.com. And if you are not already logged in, I was told that there should be a clickable link in the chat too. If you are not already logged in, you will see a prompt to log in with your FWCS Google account. So there's authentication with the Google account. So quick logging in to show you what it would look like. And just quick FYI, the login process for teachers is exactly the same process for students. The user experience is pretty much the same. When you first log into Schoology, both teachers and students will see a screen like this. This is the course dashboard. There are little thumbnail visual icons representing every class you belong to, either as a teacher or a student. Courses are regulated by start dates and end dates, so it's all about semester time periods, year-long time periods, and courses are where we are doing everything that relates to the normal school day. So come fall, you'll have courses created for you by our wizards behind the curtain. Your rosters will be imported for you. All you'll need to do is start carving up those courses and inserting your content, which is why you'll be learning how to create a sandbox momentarily. A sandbox is techie jargon. That's just an isolated place where you can play around without hurting anything. And just to make sure that we are all understanding, your sandbox is going to be something that you can work in right now. You'll have access from now through the end of time, and any content that you make in your sandbox can be transferred into one of your rostered courses in the fall. So this isn't practice for practice sake. This is real deal proactivity. So if you've not already done so, I'm going to show you how to create a course. And if I'm talking too fast, please tell me to slow down. I'm taking this quick and dirty thing pretty seriously. At the top on this black bar, you will click on courses. That will bring up a mini half window on the right-hand side below your name. You will see a link that says My Courses. And on the right-hand side, you should see a heading that says Manage Courses and two blue buttons. We would like to create course. So this is the process of how you would manually create a course. And again, I got here by clicking on courses at the top from that black bar. My Courses, which is the link that appeared below my name in the top right. And now this blue button that says Create Course. So in line with the school heading, you're going to see the school that you are teaching at or an admin at. For course name, you can put literally anything you want. We are recommending your last name plus the word sandbox, but I suppose that is completely up to you because this is primarily for your building out. This is just for your eyes only. Section name also does not matter too much. Subject area and level also do not matter too much, but we need something in there because you'll see there's a little asterisk, which means that we need some kind of data. The only important thing when you are creating this course is under that grading periods heading. We want to scroll down in this box, and the very bottom grading period, we want to select professional development. I said on the front end that courses are governed by start and end dates. And you'll see on my screen as I'm just kind of scrolling through, like for semester 2 of the 2020 and 2021 school year, this will end on June 12th, which means any course associated with semester 2 will, air quotes, disappear on you. We do not want you to get confused and have your sandbox disappear. So this professional development, as of right now, that end date is June 30th, 2030. So we highly recommend that you choose this one so it will not disappear on you. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns? Does anyone need something repeated? Because I know if you do not have two screens, it's kind of hard to follow, and this might be a point where we lose you. So I will pause for about 10 seconds. And if you don't say anything in the chat or via your mic after 10 seconds, I am going to move on. Cool. Okay, upon creating your course, you are going to see that your newly created course will show up in the courses area. So if you click on courses again at the top, you should see it, but as you can see on my screen, depending on how many courses you belong to, you may need to click on my courses again to see the full list. There's a limited amount of screen real estate here. So in my case, I'm associated with a ton of different courses. I keep telling people they can add me. But if you were to click on courses and my courses a second time, instead of clicking on create course on the right-hand side, you should see a nice list of every course that you belong to, either as a teacher or a student. If you are a classroom teacher, Liz, I'd recommend creating a sandbox just so you can start building out your content. But as an admin, I'm not confident that creating a sandbox course is super necessary. Maybe it might be worth it just for the sake of going through what teachers are going through, but may not be direct benefit. What there will be is some direct benefit to joining our FWCS Integrated Teacher Resources group. I mentioned that courses are where we're doing everything that relates to the normal school day. So that means that we're distributing content to students. Students are turning in things, we are grading. But groups are where we're doing everything that takes place outside of the normal school schedule. This is where we are doing extracurriculars and we are doing professional learning communities. So courses, there are assignments, there are due dates, everything that you would associate with a learning management system. But in groups, all you can do is make announcements, have discussion forum posts, or share resources. And what we want to do is we would like to share some resources with you, because just like with Power School Learning, the powers that be decided that there should be a consistency guideline, just kind of some templates to make sure that every stakeholder has a uniform experience. And we made some templates that you can just pull directly into your sandbox. So what you'll want to do if you've not already joined this group, if you are not among the 1,547 teachers that have already joined, you may click on groups. And just like before, after clicking at the top black bar here, below your name on the right-hand side, you'll see My Groups. And this time, instead of hitting a blue button that says Create, we want to join. So Sarah put the access code in the chat. And this might be another sticking point. I'll wait 5 seconds and hopefully we'll get it all figured out. Was everyone able to join the group? I'll take your silence to mean yes. So, yeah, who knows? All right, let's go ahead and get our shared resources into your sandbox. So real quick, I'll show you on my screen. There are courses where we do everything related to normal school schedule. There are groups where we're doing everything that's related to school, but not part of the normal schedule. So our PLCs or extracurriculars. There's also a resources area. This resource area, it's kind of like Google Drive or OneDrive. It is a digital filing cabinet. Anything can be uploaded or saved into here. Then where you see this little gear icon, anything that exists in our resources could be copied somewhere or added to a course. So this could be something that you populate, then you add content to your sandbox course or a rostered course in the fall. And you'll notice on the left-hand side here, there's a personal area that only I can see, and there's also a group area where you'll see a list of every group that you belong to. So if I click into the FWCS Integrated Teacher Resources, you'll see that on the right-hand side here, here's a list of different folders that have been shared within the group. And as a member of this group, anything in here you can pull out and then edit for your own purposes. So we have all sorts of folder structures that are compliant with our consistency standards. What we'll need to do is go into our sandbox course. And on your sandbox course, on the left-hand side, that very top, you'll see the word materials. We want to be sure that we are in the materials area. And there's a button in the top left-ish that says add materials. It's kind of like add content block in Schoology. If you click on it, it brings up a list of different menu items that you can add to your sandbox course. And what we would like to do is hit import from resources. It is the second from the bottom. And clicking on that will bring up a little window that is mirroring the resources area that I just kind of showed you. I could bring in something for my personal resource library. If I went into apps, I could bring in something from my Google Drive or my OneDrive. By the way, if you've not been in the apps area of the resource window before, you may need to grant Google and Microsoft permission to attach your cloud storage to Schoology. It's a quick aside. But for our purposes right now, we want to bring in those templates, which are part of the FWCS Integrated Teacher Resources group. So I clicked add materials, I clicked on import from resources, I went to the group section, and now I can click on FWCS Integrated Teacher Resources, and I see a list of different folders or links that have been shared within the group. So depending on whether you are an elementary person or a secondary person, if we click on LMS Consistency Templates, we'll see different folders specific to your grade level that you're teaching, or just, yeah. So I'm a secondary guy by trade, so I'll do LMS Consistency Templates, secondary templates, and one more time. And this folder, so I can see at the top, there's a class information folder. And at the bottom, there are a couple of pages populated with images that you may or may not want to use. And I'm going to go ahead and import all of this because I understand that I can just delete it if I decide I don't want it. And this will always be here for me to pull out things. So should I delete it and decide I want it back, I can always come back here. So at the top, this box lined up with title. If I click on that, that will select everything at once. And from here, I can simply hit this black import button. And it'll show me a list of things that are inside of those folders that I may not have been aware of. It just wants to confirm that I'm cool with bringing these in. And I totally am, because again, Should I decide I don't need it, I can just delete it later. So I would hit the black import button a second time. And that will pull everything from that secondary template folder into my sandbox. So now you can see I have starting at class information all the way down. Now I have some bones that I can begin editing to suit the needs of my students in the fall. Again, with the understanding that anything that I build out come fall, if I were to click on this gear icon to bring up a list of options, whether I want to edit or unpublish, you'll see a couple options to copy to courses or save to resources. So if I do a bunch of edits to this parent/guardian page and it's ready to go into a rostered course in the fall, I can simply copy to courses. Then it's a matter of checking off the appropriate box. So without any more quick and dirty basic stuff to talk to you about, I'm going to cede the floor to Sarah, who is way more knowledgeable about this than I am.
I don't know that I'm more knowledgeable at all, but thank you for that compliment. So like Eric said, I went ahead and created a sandbox course, and I moved my content over from our integrated group into my sandbox course. And just like Eric mentioned before, all of the content that you create here is going to be able to be moved over to your rostered course at the beginning of our school year, or kind of end of July, beginning of August. Okay, so what I'm going to show you how to do is within your sandbox course, how you can edit the folders and the pages that we have created for you, but then also how you can add your own folders and start creating your own content. Okay, so I pulled over the elementary content to my page because that's where I'm more versed in. I'm one of the elementary district coordinators, and so I work more with elementary teachers. And so we pulled over the same content that's under that elementary template in our group. Secondary looks somewhat similar to this. I know that they have a little bit of a difference with the About the Teacher is actually inside their class information folder. So there is a little bit of a difference there. So even if you go into that folder, you can still edit the content the same way. So if I want to edit this information and I want to add about myself, I'm going to go ahead and go over to this little gear button here. I'm going to click that button and click edit. Okay, now what happens is my page opens, this template page opens, and we have in here just some examples of things that you could or should include in About the Teacher. What's nice is if I have that information already on my PowerSchool page, I can simply copy and paste that onto my Schoology page. So I'm just going to go to my About Me folder on my PowerSchool page. I'm going to highlight that text, and I can either do a right-click copy or just Control-C copy. I'm going to go back to my PowerSchool page, or sorry, my Schoology page from my PowerSchool page, and I'm just going to paste it in. I can Control-V or do a right-click paste and paste that information in. Okay, so all of the content that I had on my About the Teacher on PowerSchool, I can now move over to my Schoology About the Teacher. I will need to make some edits here. I now will be going into my 21st year with FWCS, and I'll have to change my kids' ages and things like that. But I have that basic content that just easily is migrated over. The other thing that I can do, a lot of people want to share family photos or do a Bitmoji or a picture of your pets. You can do that simply by going up here to the top toolbar. These tools at the beginning all have to do with your font. So you can bold and underline, you can change the color here, the size is over here. The only thing you can't do is change the actual font. So that's the only thing that doesn't change in Schoology is the font, but you can change some of those other things to make it a little bit more visually appealing for your families and for your other stakeholders that will be accessing this page. If I want to add an image, I can go up to this insert content box right here, and I'm going to click on this image. button. So what's going to happen is after I click attach file, it's going to open my file explorer, which will probably look very familiar to you. It's where your OneDrive is housed, might be where you store your pictures that you may have saved to your computer. So once I click my pictures, I can just type in, if I know what picture I'm looking for by the name of it, is the family picture, or I have my Bitmojis all saved with title Bit, and then I label it. I just click open, and it's going to attach that Bitmoji right to my page there. I can click that picture, and I can shrink it down if I don't want it to appear that large on my page. Okay. After I have done all my editing to this box, I'm going to scroll down here, make sure that I click Save Changes. It will not save unless you click the Save Changes, so make sure you scroll down and find that button and click Save Changes. And then you'll notice my About the Teacher now has my information that I moved over, as well as the Bitmoji that I added. Okay. Questions about editing those pages or moving that content over? Jen, you will have access, again, I think it's at the end of July that we'll have access to our rostered courses. And so you should be able to play around a little bit with it before you guys have any of your kindergarten roundup or your conferences, things like that. Yeah, because this would be a great time to share that information with parents. Okay, so I'm going to show you now too how to edit this folder. So I'm going to go to my parent guardian folder, with the exception of your weekly plan, which kind of looks like this for elementary. Secondary looks a little bit different, but it's just our dates we would put here for our week, and then our days of the week inside. Your parent guardian page is probably where you're going to spend some of your time just sharing information with your families. So I'm going to go ahead and edit this folder, and I'm going to do so by clicking this gear and again clicking edit. Okay, so difference between folders and pages. Folders is where you can kind of create almost that file folder where you put your papers inside, and your pages are those papers that go inside of your folder. So it's just a different way to organize your content. So my parent guardian folder, I can change the color of it just to make it a little bit more identifiable and change from the rest of them. By default, it is blue, so you can change that. You can also type a description. So please click here for more information or whatever message you might want to share with your families. And I can't apparently type and spell at the same time and talk, so that's a problem. So I can put a little note in the description box. I can also, just like with PowerSchool, set a date for publication. I can leave it just unpublished and come back and publish it when I choose to, or I can set a date for it to be published. So like Jen mentioned in her her chat that they have kindergarten event on August the 3rd. So I may want to keep this closed until August the 3rd. That way my families can't necessarily join or access this page until then, because I'm still building out my content. If you don't want it open until the first day of school, you could click on the 16th. Maybe you have an event for Meet the Teacher on that Friday before school and you want to have it open then. So you can really set any date that you'd like to have that page or that folder published. You can have an end date. So on your weekly folders for your students, you may want to have it just opened for that 1 week. Maybe you want to have your weekly folders open for 2. So you can add an end date and set that as well just by clicking that calendar. And then you can set the different dates for when you want that folder then to be closed. The box next to it, you can adjust for time. So if you don't want it set in, so if you want things set to be open on a certain time, you can do that as well from that box. Okay. I'm going to go ahead, and since I have a specific date, I want it to publish on my start date. So I'm just going to click that from the drop down and click Save Changes. Now you'll notice the color of my folder changed here, and you can also see that it's unpublished and it gives the date when it will be published. Now I want to edit the content that's in my folder. So I'm going to go into my folder by clicking on that parent guardian. And inside again are some page templates that we can edit. You'll be able to add your own content or own information, and I'll show you how to do that here in just a second. So one example is office hours. This is just when you'll be available for families, to return emails, be open for, a phone call. I'm going to, again, go to that gear and click edit. And again, my page is going to open. I can take this information out and retype the information that I'd like to add, or I'm going to show you another way to add that information. Because like I mentioned before, you can only do one font in Schoology. So I want to make things a little bit more visually appealing. And so I'm going to add a Google Doc. So I'm going to go over to this insert content box again here. And it's that little gray box with the arrow. I'm going to click that. And instead of doing an image, I'm going to go over to my Google Drive. And that's going to pull right from my live Google Drive. So everything that I have in my Google Drive is going to be available to me to add to my Schoology page here. I'm going to look for my office hours. It should show up in the, like when you last accessed it. I haven't accessed this document for just a minute, so I can search for my content up here in the search bar. I'm going to click the little box next to it. I'm going to go up to the import dropdown and choose the import embed, because I want everyone to see it on my page as opposed to having to click a link to get to it. So this little box shows my placeholder for that content, for that document. And again, I just click Save Changes, and then my document will appear on the screen. So what's nice with Google specifically is that anytime, just like with PowerSchool, that I make an update on a doc or a slide, it will automatically update on Schoology as well. So if I needed to go in and change my, office hours, or have, maybe we have a meeting on Wednesday mornings, and so I'm not available in the morning, I may want to make a note of that for my families. I just have to go into my Google Doc, make those changes, and then it will automatically update on Schoology, and I don't have to edit it here at all. What's nice as well is if there are multi-pages, parents and students will have access to more than one page. It will just keep scrolling for the number of pages that you have. So that is, I appreciate that they don't have to open another document, that it's all right there on the page. Now you could do the same thing for your class information. So if you have a beginning of your newsletter or information letter that you send home with families, you can easily add that here as well, either as a Google Doc, or if you have it in Word, you could put it as a link that families can open that as well. Okay. Now I know at the elementary level, teachers often send home newsletters. So that might be monthly or bi-weekly, maybe even weekly. This would be a great place to store those or house those as well, so parents can access them whenever they need to. So I'm going to go up to this Add Materials button at the top of my page, and Eric showed us that a little bit earlier. So I'm going to click that drop down, and I'm going to choose to add a folder. Okay, this is similar to adding a page in PowerSchool. So I'm going to add a folder. I'm going to call it Newsletters. I've created one of these before in a previous session, so it's right there for me. Again, I can change the color of my folder. I can set published and unpublished dates. You'll notice here that it is unpublished, and I can't change it because it's in a folder that is currently unpublished. I'm going to click Create. And now at the bottom of my page, I have a newsletter folder. If I want this folder somewhere else on my page, I can simply click on the little folder icon and drag it up, so I can move it around on my page as well. I'm going to go ahead and click that newsletters, the wording there, and it's going to take me into that folder. Now I can start to build my content here and share my newsletters with my families. So again, I'm going to go to Add Materials. And this time, instead of adding a folder, I'm going to add a page. Adding a page is similar to adding a content block, but when you add a page, you don't have to make the choice at the beginning, like in PowerSchool, if you want it to be a link box or from your Google Drive or a YouTube or what have you. You can do all of that on this one page with Schoology. So I'm going to go ahead and title this August, because I'm going to have an August newsletter that I'm going to send home at the beginning of the year. Again, I can type any description in the box that I want to. And I'm going to show you this time how to do a slide from Google. So again, I'm going to go over to this insert content box. I'm going to choose Google Drive Resource App. And again, it's going to pull up my Google Drive. I'm going to click the Schoology 101, so you have to pretend with me that it is a newsletter slide. You could, again, do a doc. The only thing that I can't pull over right from my drive, you'll notice, are Google Forms. There's another way to do that that we'll show you in another session, but there is a way to embed those Google Forms. It's just kind of a little workaround trick. So I'm going to choose my slide that I want to embed. And again, I can embed more than one thing on my page. So if I have multiple slides or multiple documents that I want to add, I can do that here. Okay. Again, I'm going to go up to my import and I'm going to click import embed. And again, there's my placeholder for my content. Now I want to show you a couple tricks down here on the page. I didn't show these earlier because those were already formatted templates, but down here at the bottom, you have this options. This last option here is pretty important in my opinion. It gives you two options. One, to display something on a new page that means more clicks. I want less clicks for my stakeholders. So I'm going to click this so it says display in line because I want it to appear right on my page instead of on a new page. Now, when I do that, you'll notice that the letters, the ABC, it looks like a little newspaper to me. The ABCs turn blue and then there's a black outline around it. That tells me it's going to display in line right on that page. The other great feature for Schoology is that I can individually assign these pages and folders. What's great about this is not that I would want to do that with a newsletter per se, but I want to point this out while we're here, that if I create groups within my members, so once I get my students rostered, I can create skill groups or reading groups or math level groups, and I can assign content just to those groups or to individual students. So if I had a student out or is maybe home quarantined and I want to give something just to them, I can do that here by clicking this individually assign, and then it will pull up a little box where I can start typing in my students' names or my group names there. Okay, so that's a great little feature. And then I'm going to click create. So now you'll notice my slide appears on my screen. And if I have more than one slide, it will, my parents and families can click through it and see those slides, however many I have listed there. Okay, so that's what it would look like to embed a slide. Now, of course, you can have these slides interactive. These are just informational slides, but you can have interactive slides like a choice board or a hyperdoc or something like that that you could put right on your screen so that kids could just click it and it would take them to that content. Okay. Any questions about how we are adding that content, those folders or pages? Okay, good to go. All right. I'm trying to think. Oh, I want to show you members. Okay. We are recommending that in your sandbox that you do add some additional members. That could be myself, Eric, any of the district coordinators. That could be your building coach. That could be one of your co-teachers in your grade level or subject area. And to do that, we're going to scroll down on the left-hand side here, and we're going to go to members right here. Right now, I'm the only member in my group. This little badge indicates that I'm the admin on this in this course. So that means that I have editing, right? So I can add things, delete things, change things. When I click add members, and you won't have to do this on your rostered courses because your students will be rostered. Of course, you're welcome to add, again, your building coach, your principal, co-teacher, whoever you'd like, to your rostered courses at the beginning of the year. But to add someone to my course, I just type in a name. I choose the person that I want to add, and I can add members. Now, I can type in more than one at a time, So if I wanted to add Eric and Sarah to my course, I could do that. It tells me I've got 2 selected members that I'm adding, and I can click add members. So now Eric and Sarah both appear in my course, but they are students. And I know they're students because they don't have that little admin badge next to them. I could make either of them an admin just by clicking on that little gear here, and I can click make admin. This is, again, so they could add or edit content to my course. This would be great too if I'm sharing content with a co-teacher. They can easily, if they're an admin on my page, go in and pull off any content that I have created to add to their course. I'm also able to preview the course as a student here. So again, if I want to see what Eric sees, I just click on that gear and then click preview course. And then that allows me to see my course as he would see it. So off to the left, you can see that this page looks very similar to our teacher Schoology page. They have less options here. They can see who else is in their course, but they will not be able to send them any messages or access them in any way. So they won't be able to communicate with the other members of the course. They will just be able to see who's a part of it. But again, you can scroll down and Eric can now see my About the Teacher. Notice that my parent guardian page is not there because it's not published yet. It's still unpublished, so he's not seeing that. And so that's how Eric will then view my course. Now, again, if I've assigned certain information or certain folders or pages to Eric, I would see those here, especially if they're not assigned to, say, Sarah. So if I wanted to view my course then as Sarah and see how she sees it and make sure that I've given her all of the content that I need to, I can also just type in her name and view that from her point of view as well. I'm going to go back to course. If I don't click this button, I'll continue to view it. My course is Eric, and so I want to make sure that I click back to course, and so it takes me back to being the admin on this page here. Okay. So just a little bit about adding that content, editing those folders and those files that we did bring over, and again, just how to kind of start building your pages so that you can move your content over. So at the beginning of next school year, when we do have those roster courses, what you're going to do to move that content over, and again, we'll share this with you, but I want to make sure that you just have it kind of in the back of your mind. Again, you can go to this little gear. It's where we do all of our editing and our moving and copying. I'm going to click copy to course. And now I can add this to any course that I have. So if I have multiple courses, I can click multiple courses to add this to. So if I want to add this to another sandbox that I've created, I can click that button. I'm not going to add it to a folder because I want it just looking the same way it is. I can add this to whatever course I'm an admin on and copy that content right over. So I just click copy and it's going to move my content. So that's how you'll move it from your sandbox to your rostered course at the beginning of next school year. Okay. So in our last session, I did share my sandbox that I've been working in and kind of sharing when I've gone out to professional learnings with some of my buildings that I work with. So my sandbox is kind of maybe an example of what it could look like after you've added in some different slides. And we're going to get into this in the Jazzing Up Schoology session that we have on June 16th. I think it's June 16th. It's that, not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after, where we're going to show you how to add these slides at the top of your page. So what's really nice about this is, especially for elementary students, it's very easy for them to navigate. And again, because this is an embedded slide, I can easily just change my links for each day of the week on the slide and they will update here. So if my students click on Monday, it's going to take them to my Monday page. And in my Monday page, I've got my daily agenda. And again, this is just an embedded slide. Any of these pictures or words I could have linked to somewhere that I want my students to go and take them to a Seesaw activity, for example. That's what that math button will take them out to Seesaw, and it'll take them right to the activity that I want them to be working on for the day. Sorry, things were running a little slow today, but I would need to log into my Seesaw in order to access that. But you can make these interactive. A lot of our teachers have Bitmoji pages that they like to share with their students. So they could do that as well, right in Schoology, and still be able to share those out. So a couple things that I've added, again, my daily agenda at the top. Here's a choice board that I added. Anything that kind of shows up with that little finger is going to be able to take me to somewhere else. So I've linked this to a quizzes. I've linked this to a Flipgrid activity I want my kids to work on. I can also embed YouTube videos. And I do that the same way, just with that insert content box. Okay. Down here at the bottom, sorry, I've got lots of things here. It's just, this is what it would look like if I just had a link to something else. And then these are just examples of assignment. So that's what an assignment would look like. So each thing kind of has its own little icon, so you know exactly what it is when you're adding it to your pages. But this would just be an example of a Monday page. Where my students could either go through the page this way. I know some teachers do. I know Jen's on here and she does a lot of building in Google Slides and just has her kids go through the Google slide from section to section, day to day. She has it all built out right in that slide, and she could easily embed right here. And then her kids would have very easy access to her content information here. Okay. So we're doing a lot with Google right now. We had Eric and Shannon led a kind of creating content in Google Slides just before this session. So if you joined us for that, this is then a great way to pull over those choice boards or hyperdocs that were created, and you can add them right into Schoology this way. Okay. So I think we've got about 15-ish minutes. Finished a lot earlier than I thought that I would have. So if there's anything else that that you'd like me to share out with you, feel free to unmute. If you have any other questions that I can answer about Schoology, I will be happy to answer what I can. Eric, was there anything else that I shared this morning that I didn't share? That's the bad thing about doing 2 sessions. I don't always remember if I shared everything from the morning that I did in the afternoon.
I thought that you were excellent and it was comprehensive. Just good job all around.
If you ever need a compliment, look for Eric, because he's great at giving compliments to people.
And they're sincere.
Well, that's even better. We do have, again, some other Schoology sessions that we will be providing to you. So let me pull up that slide real quick. So next week we do have groups and resources. So this is not only going to be kind of creating groups in Schoology, but it's also going to be looking at the groups tab as opposed to courses that we spent a lot of time in today, how to kind of create content in groups and what you would use that for. But then also that resource tab, because there's a lot of really good stuff under resources, and a great way to kind of keep some templates handy. Jazzing Up Schoology is really going to be some of that interactive slides, how to embed those slides, how to kind of just make your Schoology page a little bit more appealing. PowerSchool was a little bit more fun. You could add a little, the themes to it. It just sometimes a lot of teachers have said that Schoology looks kind of boring. And so we want to try to show you how you can bring a little bit more life to your Schoology pages. And so in our Jazzing Up Schoology session, we will do that. And then this last session, next to last session is creating assignments. So how you can create those assignments and share content. What we shared with you today, the slides we shared are just more for viewing and maybe clicking to go somewhere else, but not so much for students being able to respond. So students aren't doing any work on the slides that I showed you today. They're just viewing those slides. But the assignments is going to be how they can interact with Google Slides, Google Docs, and other content that you want to share with your students. And then we will have an office hours, which is basically just a Q&A. So after we've gone through these sessions, this will be a great follow-up for any questions that you might have as we continue to build up our Schoology. Okay. So again, feel free to let me know if you have questions.
Me a quick, I thought I had done it, but maybe I didn't. How to open up my Google Drive.
Let me show you real quick here. So I'm going to go back to resources on my Schoology page. Here. And if you go down to your apps button, it's on the left-hand side at the very bottom here, then you'll be able to access those. And you'll just want to allow and then connect. So you'll click your FWCS email to connect that, and then you'll do the same thing with OneDrive if you want to have access to your OneDrive from there as well.
Thank you.
Of course. Okay. Let's take a look at those messages. So if you go over at the top of your, while I'm back in my Schoology here, at the top over on this left-hand side here, you'll see some other options for tools. This little envelope here is your message button. And this is how you can send messages to your students. You'll also be able to do that from the members. You can also click the member's name and send them a message. It will not tell you, let me go into one of my previous ones. It will not tell you if it's been read by a student or by a family member. So unfortunately, that right now is not an option. That'd be a great one for us to suggest, that it shows you whether it's, you know, been read. It shows you kind of that timestamp of the time and day. And then similar to like Facebook Messenger, your messages will show up in a thread that will just keep adding to it. But it does not, unfortunately, show if the other person has received it and has read it. But that's a great question and something that we can definitely share with the Schoology team moving forward to provide that out. Okay. Any other questions? Anything else I can show you while I've got my Schoology page here open? You will have analytics on your course. And so if we go back into my course here, you will be able to see your analytics. And so you'll be able to see how many students have gotten on your page, just like you can with PowerSchool, how many students have gotten on, when they accessed it, how long they spent there. So you will know if students are going to your page, as well as any family members. Your families will have, there is a mobile app for families that they can access both on Android and on Apple. So, and they will receive course information and how to join your course when they have registration at the beginning of the year. So just like last year when they received that paper that had their PowerTeacher Pro and their PowerSchool login credentials, they'll get that same information for Schoology. So any group or course that a student is a part of, their family will be a part of that as well. So parents will also be joined then in your course. And then if they are rostered into like a chess club group or a soccer group, parents will also have access to those groups as well. Hillary, I think that the analytics, yeah, is about 24 hours, just like it is with PowerSchool, to update and refresh. Great questions. Okay. All right. So what I would suggest as you're kind of working in your sandbox, just play around with it, click it, see what happens when you do. That's kind of how I learn. You're not going to break anything. No one else has access to these right now. So this is a great time just to kind of click and just practice. That's kind of why we're having these sandboxes created. But when you do create that content, again, anything you want to save and keep can be moved over to your class. So anything that you're doing and practicing with will not automatically be moved over. You will have to manually do that. And so this is a great place just to kind of spend some time trying things out and testing things out and seeing how things work. By adding those members to your group, you can also reach out to, other teacher friends of yours and say, hey, I created an assignment and I shared it with you. Can you go in and see what it looks like and then send it back to me? So there's lots of different options you can do as well with other members of your group and just kind of playing around with things. Okey-doke. Okay. Well, we will have the recording of this session on that calendar page that I showed here. We will be linking once we get all of our videos downloaded and edited. We will be adding them to this calendar page. So feel free to go back and rewatch if you need to, slow things down, look at this part again. So even though we did the Schoology 101 this morning, I will post both videos. That way you can go back and watch this morning session if you'd like to, see if there was anything that we missed this afternoon or vice versa. I think I shared a little bit more, a couple different things this afternoon that I didn't share this morning, but I will post both of those links here once those videos are done. So if there are no more questions, then we will go ahead and kind of wrap up this afternoon. I wish that it was a nicer day for you all to enjoy, but it's a good day for some professional learning since, don't really want to be outside in this stuff anyway. So, well, then we will go ahead and wrap things up this afternoon. And again, thank you for joining us. Eric and I appreciate you being here today and learning a little bit more about Schoology. But like we said, there'll be more sessions to come. So please feel free to join us for those sessions. And we look forward to seeing you guys again next Wednesday. So have a great week and we will see you then. Bye, everybody. Thank you.